a little bit just about your background and how you became interested in the subject of refugees that were left behind in Germany after the war, after World War II?
Yeah, I'm a U.S. historian, born and bred in New York City. I'm an American Jew. I have always been interested, or recently been very interested, ever since I did my biography of Joseph Kennedy, on the post-war period. And one of the things historians do, and I in particular attempt to do, is to correct the historical record, to fill in the gaps, to undo the mistakes. And one of the grand mistakes Americans have made in understanding World War II in the post-war period, and we've done it because there was no battles fought on American soil, no bombs landed here, there were no trenches, no fallen soldiers, sailors or Marines. We think that when the war was over, when the fighting stopped and the American soldiers came home, everything was peaceful. In May of 1945, the Germans surrendered, and again, it was the American misconception that the sun came out to rise, everything was glorious. Well, what I discovered, and I discovered it by happenstance, because everybody's talking about immigrants now. What I discovered was that when the war was over, there were 1 million refugees left in Germany with no place to go home to, like the Jews, or who refused to go home for a variety of reasons. And my book is about that last 1 million. They were comprised of Polish, mostly young Poles, who had been kidnapped and brought into Germany to do the work that had once been done by soldiers who were now at the front.
These are non-Jews. These are non-Jews.
These are non-Jews.
Non-Jews.
The second group, non-Jews, were Lithuanians, Latvians, Estonians, and Ukrainians, who came to Germany and stayed in Germany after the war because they had, many of them, been collaborators with the Nazi occupation and knew if they returned home to Latvia, Lithuania, Ukraine, they would be punished for their collaboration. And the third group that comprised the last 1 million, the refugees stuck in Germany when the war was over, were the Jews. In the beginning, there were maybe 40 to 50,000 Jews in Germany. They had been moved there by the Nazis at the end of the war, from Auschwitz, from Birkenau, from Stutthof, from all of the death camps, because the Germans decided that it would be better to work the Jews to death than to gas them. And they didn't want the world to see the extent of their crimes against humanity. So in the beginning, there were a small number, 40 to 50,000 out of 1 million. In 1946, the 200 to 250,000 Polish Jews who had survived the war and survived the Holocaust only because they had crossed the border into the Soviet Union and worked at hard labor in the Asiatic reaches of the Soviet Union, but survived. When the war was over, they came back to Poland, realized that they could not resume their lives in Poland because the anti-Semitism was worse than it had been. There were pogroms, there was violence, there was murder. The returning Jews were told, "We thought you were dead. There's no place for you in the new Poland."